It's just wonderful seeing chickens out on grass. Now, to be fair, this is my first year having chickens out on grass. And we decided to go with the Suscovich chicken tractor's design. I went out and I bought his book and read it. It's a pretty good read other than just having the plans for said chicken tractor in it. There's a couple of things I would change, and some that I did change, and some that I will change for future. I did originally want to bring you guys along on this build, but as it was my first time, it just didn't really seem right to do. We screwed up on some things. We cut some things wrong. We didn't measure twice, cut once, if you will. But this is the tractor. I like it. I do. We were originally planning on going with the Joel Salatin model, the broiler boxes, 10 by 12, I think, down low. And the one reason why we decided not to was bending. As weird as it may sound, was a lot of bending. So for myself and my girlfriend, that wouldn't be such a big deal. But if my mom or Pat had to help get the chickens out for whatever reason, they wouldn't be able to get into that box to be able to get them out easier. So we decided to go with the John Suscovich style, mainly because it had a door and it was easier to get in and out. I find it might be a little less stressful on the birds themselves, because as you can see, they've kind of slowed down ever since I came out here. When I first came out, they were walking around and doing a bunch of stuff, but these birds are pretty lethargic, especially once they get into their older weeks, as you will. So a few things I changed right off the hop. So here are the 5 things I would change and have changed on the John Suscovich chicken tractor design. First off, we decided to go with a ski instead of wheels. And now this is the front side of it, but we did use the conduit that he did say to use for the roof, and we did use for the roof, and I'll get to that a little bit later. But we use skis instead of wheels. So if we come to the back here, he normally says to drill a hole right in the side of this board here and put a little caster wheel in there, and you just use the one set of wheels for all your chicken tractors. We currently only have one, but we decided to go with the ski method, and there's a couple of reasons behind that. The main reason is more bending. You got to bend down, you got to put the wheels on every day, because if you leave them on, then it lifts up on the back side of the actual chicken tractor. So with these skis, they come out a little bit further, about a foot and a bit, past the back end of the chicken tractor, and it gives you a little bit of leverage. Now all we did was we did our conduit, we bent it, we fastened it together in the middle. We did not go all the way through. We took one 10-foot section and we cut it in half. So we had 2 5-foot sections. So we used an extra 2 pieces of conduit for the skis, 1 on each side. And then what we did in the center is we pretty much did the exact same thing. We pinched it down and then screwed it into this bottom 2x4 here. One of the big things that we kind of saw when looking at all these videos on YouTube about this chicken tractor design and others like it is, okay, cool, I know that you want to keep costs down, but at the end of the day, if it's complex or got too many steps, it makes it less enjoyable, right? I'm a tow truck driver, and there's a saying, a good tow truck driver is a lazy tow truck driver, because you'll always find different things to make your job easier and or faster. So something like this, I've got skis on. All I got to do, come out in the morning, grab that rope and pull it ahead 10 feet, and then do my feed and water. I don't have to mess around with wheels. I don't have to put wheels on and off. I don't have to worry about them getting gunged up or anything like that. It's just a lot easier. So that's the first thing that I changed on the John Suscovich chicken tractor, was skis instead of wheels. The second thing I changed on the John Suscovich chicken tractor, which is neither here nor there, is just a personal preference. In the plans, it shows you to bend it over with that pipe bender that you have to get for this and for the sides down here. He says to bend it over at a 45-degree angle or whatever to make this bend. Well, we ended up using these end caps and then just put it a solid bar across the top. So I personally find that gives it a little bit more strength, but I don't know what the other side style is like for strength and flexibility, but I do know it made it a heck of a lot easier building it, because a lot of videos I've seen online is people are getting messed up on the bends and the angles, which we kind of did too. Thankfully, if you're doing your bends and your angles on this side over here, it was a lot easier, because if you buggered up on the one bend, you could make it a little bit easier over on this end. But also, since we were connecting ours at the top instead of doing just one giant piece, if we were off a little bit here, it didn't really matter, right? Because if this wasn't in the exact same spot as the next one, well, you can kind of shimmy it over when you're putting this top bar in and fastening it down. I'm not making this video to bash on this design or John Suscovich at all. I really do enjoy the basis of these chicken tractors, and it's a really good platform, because without his book and without his plans, I would have never been able to build this. Just the measurements and what the materials that you'll need and tools that you might need, just so handy to have and definitely key. So if you are thinking about building one of these, regardless if you do these little 5 tips or not, I highly recommend buying his book and just following along. There's a few things that are a little bit not so easy to understand in there, but if you take your time and you go through it, you'll do just fine. So the third thing I changed about the John Suscovich chicken tractor, and that comes down to personal preference again, but it's to do with the hardware cloth that you use. We use hardware cloth on all the bottom and including this door here, just not the top triangle, and we wrapped it all around. And did we use a little too much hardware cloth? I guess you could say that, but we just found that it was so much easier to bring it right around the corner and wrap it around and staple it in over here. For the security aspect of things, I don't really know if it really makes that much of a difference, but as you can see at the top here, just the amount that you would have to come down, and then you would have this little triangle open if you were to stop the hardware cloth here, staple it onto this 2x4 and then onto this 2x4 on the side. We just found it would be a lot easier, and if we're going through all this trouble to might as well go the extra step and wrap it around and just use that little bit of extra hardware cloth just to know that it's secure down here. I'm getting right into the coupe tractor for this one. So this is the fourth thing that I've changed on the John Suscovich chicken tractor. Excuse me, chickies, coming through. Beep beep. Hello, I'm sorry to disturb you all. But the fourth thing that we changed is something that always blew my mind. And I get it, there's a tarp here, but in the actual plans, he only has this piece of chicken wire and the far side piece of chicken wire. He leaves this part open. Now, once again, that would save you a lot of money on chicken wire. Well, not a lot of money, but some money regardless. But once again, you're going through all this hassle, and you're going to be doing this, and especially if you're doing it for the first time, the proof of concept, just, you're going through all this work, you want to make sure that everything's secure. So the couple of extra cents or dollars that it would cost to put up an extra sheet of chicken wire, which I will remind everyone, these sheets are the easiest sheets to put up. You just throw the roll over the top and you staple it, and then you go over to the other side and you cut it. It's the easiest part to do on the whole chicken tractor, I think, in my mind. And it works just great. And it's just, I know probably there's never going to be any part of an issue, but if you noticed, we actually have an electric fence set up around these guys, and I'll get into that a little bit later and maybe in a different video. But for the extra cost, you might as well just do it. And then, you know, hey, if something did happen, at least you know you did everything that you could and not second guess yourself to where, oh, something got in and killed all my birds. Maybe they got through here. And you just don't know. Well, maybe you do know, but I find it's just, you're spending thousands of dollars on doing all this. You might as well just cover it all in. And the fifth thing that I changed on the John Suscovich chicken tractor has to do with the water bucket. Now, I love the water bucket. I love the drink nipples. I absolutely love the drink nipples. And as you can see, our birds also love the drink nipples. They just go in and gobble it all up. It's always nice. They drink real well from it. But the thing that I changed is, instead of hanging the bucket from a chain, even if it is on a dog clip, easy to detach, what I did was I made a slip knot here. So if we get up nice and close, you can see this rope here is the one that's taking most of the weight, and it's right wrapped up and around this knot, and it comes back down. And this tail here actually adjusts the height. So all you got to do, I'm not sure if I can get this into a spot in here to where you'll be able to see it. So I'm sorry for the angle. There just isn't much room to stand and try to do camera work around here. Next time I might make this a little bit easier. Make the chicken tractor YouTuber special, if you will, and actually put mounts in here for cameras and whatnot. But what was going on about this bucket is, if I take the weight off of this string here, I can just pull down on this one, and it brings the whole bucket up, and it sits right where it needs to. And you can do the same thing in reverse. You just pull down with a little bit of extra force, and the bucket just stays right there. No messing around with chains, no messing around with links up here, because ideally you don't want to be in here as up too much, right? Right now I'm doing this for a video, but for your chickens, unless you're in here every day spending a couple of hours with them, I wouldn't recommend staying in here overly long, moving around. Talking to them's fine, but you want to minimize the stress as much as possible. And especially when you come in here, they start to get all rowdy. If you're trying to position the camera or you keep bumping your head, that might get them rowdy and get them more excited. So you want to minimize as much stress as possible. So for something like this, where I only have to come in and pull up on this string to make it a little bit taller for them as they're growing, that's perfect. As you can see, this one chicken, you probably can't see it, but they like laying underneath the water bucket as well because it gets a little moist under there. Get off each other. That's where he likes to lay. Anyways, but yes, having a water bucket, a slip knot. At the end of the year, when we pull this inside for the winter, I'll probably take a good long look at this knot and try to show you how to do it. Maybe make that its own separate video. Maybe this channel will become a knot tying video. But I don't know the name of this knot. I just kind of did it, and I worked around. I was like, how can I make this to where this one rope will be this rope on the other side, and I can just move it up and down like a milking a cow. And that's what I came up with. I did a weight test with it with the full 5-gallon bucket worth of water, and it held, and it's been holding great. So I would recommend using a thicker rope like this. Gives it a lot more bite up top here, and all this extra stuff is just excess that I wrapped around so I didn't have to cut the rope. So I've got a couple of extra bonus tips for you here, and once again, it's just, I'm not making this video to bash on this chicken tractor. I really like this chicken tractor, and I'm saying all these stuff for things for you if you decide to build a John Suscovich chicken tractor, and I do recommend that you check him out and buy his book. Different ideas that might make this chicken tractor work better for you, because it's not a one-size-fits-all thing. like the skis and the wheels. Okay, well, if you want to put wheels on it every day, that's by all means. I wanted to reduce that step for myself, so I decided to do skis instead. You could take it one step further and actually do proper skis. I just decided we had the conduit laying around for this project, and I saw another YouTuber out here on YouTube talk about skis, and I can't remember exactly what they did, and I said, hey, that's a good idea. So that's what we did. So a couple of other little things that we changed on the John Suscovich chicken tractor. One of the little things that we changed is this latch. I also drilled a hole through here, and we need to put some like airplane cord on this instead of mechanics wire, just so the door can close and latch while you're in there, especially if you're in there doing feed or whatever and they just throw around and they're a little confused. It's just one less thing that you have to worry about, making sure the door latches. You'll also notice this little piece dangling here. This is for the rope, just to hang the rope up like that to keep it up off the ground, especially when it's raining and stuff. Keeps the rope from getting super dirty. This rope was bright red, and this chicken tractor's been out for three weeks, maybe almost a month, and it's faded. So I can only imagine the state it would have been if it was always laying on the ground, especially after rains and everything like that. One of the other little things that we did, if we go down along the side here, excuse me, chickens, hi, hello. Put that over there. Calm down. Where this hardware cloth comes down, we actually let it go down a little bit further than the actual piece of wood itself. So when we designed it, it was folded out like this. I think it's now folded in, but it just gives that little bit of extra protection from digging and predators from trying to get underneath of it. Especially like we got the electric fence, so it's not as big of a deal, but as you can see on the back side, how it's folded out there, that just gives us another layer of protection to you know, just in case something tries to dig, they got to get through wire, not just under wood and ground. Now the fifth thing that we changed on the John Suscovich chicken tractor, and we haven't changed it yet. I saw this idea and I was like, that's a good idea, but I want to see how useful it's actually going to be. Now, since I don't have the wheels, I drag this along the ground, so your mileage may vary on this, especially if you're doing the wheels. It might be a little smoother, but for me, dragging it doesn't go super smooth, especially since I'm watching for chickens, because they like to lay right there. And well, that beam right across the bottom is a pretty good leg catcher, and I've caught a few of their legs, and of course, since I go nice and slow, their leg kind of gets caught underneath of it. But since we also have the mesh there as well, it's not doing really much damage to them. It's just they can't move, so then you got to come around and grab one of their legs, like one of the legs on the chicken tractor, and give it a lift up, and they pull their leg out and they waddle away. One thing that I want to implement, and I'll do this in the next one we build, and when we take this one out of service for the winter, is take another piece of conduit just like this and drill a hole probably right there and put a bar all the way across and use that as a bumper, so it bumps them out of the way before they get to the point of being run over by the bar. So that is the biggest thing that I would change and that I'm going to change. Now, like I said, your mileage may vary. If you've got the wheels on, that's bringing the ass end of the chicken tractor up a little bit. That might be easier for you. You might not need a bumper. Myself, personally, I'm pretty well the only person that moves this chicken tractor, so it's definitely nice when Amanda, the girlfriend's out here helping me, because she can stand on the back and kind of shoo them forward, right, while I move it forward. So for a one-person operation moving in the mornings, because that's when we move them, is in the morning, I personally think that a bumper bar at the back is definitely going to be well worth the investment, just so it makes it go faster. Because the time it takes, especially if you got to do this before work like I do most mornings, is you got to start dragging, and then a chicken's too close to the back, so then you stop and wait for the the chicken to move around a little bit so you're not catching his foot. Or if you do catch a foot, then you got to walk around, and you're doing this kind of quickly. A, because you probably haven't had morning coffee yet and you're a little, ugh, I just want to get to work. And B, because, well, your chicken's stuck. So you don't want your chicken to be stuck. So then you got to walk around and grab one of the legs, pull it up, free the chicken, and then you still got to move it. So it's just having a bumper bar at the back, I think, would be very, very beneficial. And my mileage may vary. I know it's something that I'm going to do this fall, over the winter, put it in, and I'm going to try it for next year. Maybe it'll work. Maybe it won't. But that's one thing that I'm trying, and I'm going to change on the John Suscovich chicken tractor. So those were my 5 and a bit things that I would change and have changed about the John Suscovich chicken tractor. Once again, for the 3rd or 4th time in this video, I'm not bashing this chicken tractor design at all. I really like it. You should go check him out. I'll leave his YouTube channel linked down below. And it's a great design. There's just a few things that I changed to cater to my personality and my needs. And you should do that as well if you build this. If you follow the plans, that's just trying to be a cookie cutter farm or cookie cutter idea. Change things. Play around with it. As long as you're not ripping out a side or doing it without a roof, because you still got to keep in mind the safety of your birds. Do little things. One last little thing. He says to put a hose around your rope. I use a big rope, so it's easy on my hands as it is. I don't need the hose, the used hose, to give myself more grip. If I was using like a metal wire, of course I would definitely be using a hose. I use a soft rope and I keep it up off the ground, so I don't really have to worry about that too much. If you like this video, make sure to hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe. Comment down below your thoughts. If you agree with my list, let me know what you have changed on your John Suscovich chicken tractor. Or if this has put a thought into your head, please let me know down below in the comments. I'd really like to hear those. With that being said, I'm being swarmed by horse flies, deer flies, normal flies, a couple of bees. So that's going to be it for me today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Toodles!